When was it put in your mind that you couldn't be, do, or have something? That's the shadow. When you're all finished your shadow scene, we're going to move on to Act 1, Scene 3. This is the third part of our 9-part hero's journey, and that is called the helping hands. The helping hands. Now, do you have a friend or a teacher, or did some kind of guidance come to you at exactly the moment when you needed it? That's what I call the helping hands. Now, for Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, she met 3 friends along the way on the yellow brick road: the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion. When we go back to the story of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker got a lot of aid in the form of a lightsaber, an old wise mentor named Obi-Wan Kenobi, and a pilot by the name of Han Solo, and another pilot by the name of Chewbacca. They got aboard this ship called the Millennium Falcon, and Luke was ready to embrace his journey and his destiny. Now, where are your helping hands? Have you ever met a friend or a teacher or a cherished loved one who came into your life at just the precise moment when you needed them? That's the helping hands in action. Oftentimes in the hero's journey, or in this quest, you might even find love or enhance your love at this part of the journey. Now, in the Destiny 5 experience story, there is a woman named Deborah Lee. Now, Deborah Lee, at this point in the story, was very despondent, very desperate. She was broke financially. She was about ready to accept homelessness. And as a last-ditch effort, as a last resort, and out of desperation, she posted an ad online that said, "Homeless adjunct professor, will teach for shelter." Right when Deborah Lee was about to accept defeat and accept homelessness, an offer came through. She was offered to stay at a very nice house for a couple of months, and she did get back on her feet, and she thrived by the end of the 60-day quest. But that's an example of a helping hand story. Someone came through right when she needed it. Now, I would like you to think about your helping hand story. Now, in Deborah Lee's story, her symbol would probably be the online posting. So maybe it would be a keyboard. Let's say that's the symbol. What is your symbol for the helping hands in your life? Now that would conclude the 3 scenes from Act 1. And again, we're going into your past to recognize patterns and understand how to accomplish a 60-day quest, how to thrive in a 60-day quest. We're going to go on now to Act 2. Act 2, Scene 1, and also the 4th part of our journey, is called the desert. Okay, that's the desert. Now, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and her 3 companions are about ready to make it to the Emerald City. Dorothy is so happy because she thinks the quest is over. But right before they make it to Emerald City, they hit a poppy field. Not just any poppy field. This is an enchanted poppy field. It's a poppy field that puts all living beings to sleep. And so, what seemed so close was so very far away. That's the experience of the desert. You feel like you're not accomplishing much. You feel like you get stuck in a rut. And it's very difficult to inspire yourself. In the Destiny 5 experience story, my personal desert was working in the physical fitness industry. I consider myself a pretty good trainer, and that was my day job while working on the book. Not only did I consider myself a good trainer because of my physical skills and my knowledge of physical fitness, but I also applied a lot of these emotional skills to what I was doing. But I would go to work every day to make $6 a session at a chain gym. That was my personal desert. But the good thing about the desert is you learn your best skills and you get your experience and you learn the emotional habits that are going to get you through the entire quest. But the negative part of it is it feels like you're going nowhere and you are stuck. So what is your personal desert? What does that represent to you? So for me, if I were to pick out a symbol that represented my desert, it would be a dumbbell. Okay? So now you should have 4 symbols that represent these 4 phases so far. Your origin, your shadow, your helping hand, and your desert. Okay, are you still with me? Great. We're going to go on to the next phase, and this is Act 2, Scene 2. This is something I call the plot twist. Okay, this is called the plot twist. This is where you are about the halfway point of your journey, and something happens where what you think of yourself or what you think of the world is turned completely up. In the story of The Wizard of Oz, once Dorothy and her companions get to the wizard does not grant them their requests. He says, no, you have to prove yourself. You have to go and you have got to get the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West, which means you probably have to kill her. So all of a sudden, Dorothy's world and identity is turned upside down. She's no longer the hunted. She has to become the hunter. In the story of Star Wars, when Luke and the others get to Alderaan, their destination planet, they find that it's been blown up. It's not there anymore. There is no destination, and they get trapped by the feared Death Star. So what happens is sometimes you experience a catharsis of what you think you are or what you think the world is, because you're in full career of a quest now, and you're going to have to become more to finish it. I'm going to read now from the Destiny 5 Experience book. This scene, which incorporates the plot twist, focuses on Melanie, a teenager. Now, when I asked her to please give me a response to the plot twist in her life, she responded, "My parents divorcing." After reflecting very pointedly on this one, she picked up an imaginary television remote control. She profoundly studied it for several moments, put it down, then walked center stage as if addressing a live audience. Finally, she said, "You watch TV, and you see how parents are portrayed. Occasionally they argue, but it's nothing. When my parents divorced, that's when I noticed on the television how other people's parents got along so well, and I realized what's going on in my home is not the most conducive environment for a family." As Melanie said those words in the spotlight, I wasn't sure, but I thought I saw a trickle of a tear forming. Then she said, "Nothing is ever going to be the same. This is certainly a faith crisis in my life. When my parents divorced, that's when I stopped trusting, because it was such a severe blow." Melanie held her stomach as if punched hard. "I started questioning the beliefs that were handed down to me as a follower of Christianity. I would actually pray, 'Please keep my family together.' When that did not happen, I felt very much like, well, no one's listening." Melanie threw her hands up in defeat. "Since then, I changed my view about what I was raised to believe. I lost faith in everything that I'd been taught in my life. That's unfortunately the way things go in this world." Now, please understand, as I step away from reading the book, this is not a religious experience. I am not condoning, nor am I denying religion its power. What I would like to explain is that this character of Melanie really did go through that crisis of faith in her life, and that is what represented her plot twist. So I do want to go on record in saying that. A moment for yourself, and try to find what represented the plot twist in your life. When was your world turned upside down? When did you have to relook or redefine yourself? Have you had a moment where you had to rethink and re-examine and relook at who you were as a person or what your world was? Think about that and try to find a symbol that represents your plot twist. Now, for Melanie, in the scene that I just read, her symbol was the remote control. If you go back through your list, you should have 5 symbols now. And again, if you would like to write them down, I would certainly recommend it. And we're going to go on to the next phase, which is Act 2, Scene 3. We are coming to the end of Act 2 now, and this is the dark night. Okay, this is the dark night. This is a moment where you meet your deepest fears, but it's also the moment where you tap your greatest power. This is where you finally master your emotions, and you need to be able to do that if you are going for something that you really want, because your greatest desires will also bring out your greatest fear. But if you learn how to master both, and you become in the center of the storm and master your emotions, you have truly taken a quest worth taking. What this represents is all the powers of the emotional unconscious seeping through, and is asking for you to use it now. In the story of The Wizard of Oz, this is when Dorothy is locked in the witch's chambers. The witch gives her an hourglass and flips it upside down. And she tells Dorothy, "You see this? This is how long you have to be alive." And as time is counting down, Dorothy is fearing for her life.